Yo, what's good, guys? It's Drew with the Soul Broker here. My Instagram handle is @thesoulbroker. I'm here with Ben Waldman and Rick Dean, so you guys can introduce yourself, Instagram handles, all that.
What's up, guys? I'm Rick Dean Stankampiano. My Instagram handle is SI_kicks.
I'm Ben Waldman. My Instagram is crown_kicks. Follow.
So what we're doing here is we just started a YouTube channel yesterday. So we're linking with influencers, local people on Staten Island, just getting together questions and just making content for you guys. So today Rick and Ben gave me questions that they want to ask. We're just gonna have a conversation, so we're gonna get started.
Want me to start?
Yeah.
Alright. So, what's your favorite model, brand, or colorway?
Model, brand, or colorway? So
Or one of each.
all right, so I would start with, I would say Jordans because that's like what I started with. So I would say Jordan is my favorite brand. Model, I would say Jordan 4. And colorway, that's tough. I like neutral colors like black and gray and white. So my favorite 4 would probably be like a Fear 4.
Sick.
Yeah.
Boys are very sick.
So actually, I'll add to that. So, what's your favorite shoe of all time? Just pick one.
Damn. Pick one shoe. Damn, this is
That's a
tough.
lot of shoes. Even in the store, there's at least 300 shoes.
Maybe like 450 now.
450 now?
Or even if you want to bring it down, like favorite shoe you ever owned.
Favorite shoe I ever owned. Okay, this is easy. I would say Tokyo 5. If I could get a Tokyo 5 in my size, I know it's super loud. It's like definitely contradictory to what I said about like being neutral colors, but that's a heater. And if I could get a Tokyo 5, you could bury me in that shoe.
You can bury me.
I'd be happy. But I think like a size 11 is going for like 8K right now.
That it's just literally
Yeah.
insane what prices of shoes are nowadays.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Like even these, they shot up the Cause 4s. You use one of the Cause 4s if you can't tell. So they went from 500-600 to now 1,300, 1,400. It's insane.
I don't see it though. Like the way the market's going and like pricing, it's just it's like almost unrealistic
It
now.
really is.
Yeah.
So this is kind of basically for Supreme. What's your favorite box logo? Because there's been Bait, Louis Vuitton, Gucci. There's been normal neutral colors, and including the Paisley ones coming this season. What would be your favorite?
That's super tough to say. Like Supreme has been around for like almost 30 years now, so I mean, I want to say it's got to be either. It's like a toss up, but if I have to go for one, I would probably say the Fall Winter 2011 Mustard box logo hoodie.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Isn't that right up there?
Yeah, it is. But unfortunately, I'm too large for Supreme. I don't know why Supreme doesn't make big people sizes, but
They make sure to max it at extra large so everyone can get the high, or that's it.
yeah.
Double XL will probably be like, say the retail's $250 and the resells at like $1,000, resells $2K,
Yeah.
and everything else is at $1,200.
It's crazy. Double XL pieces are really rare and very expensive. And I still don't fit it. I probably have to stretch like the shirt to
It's
fit
also
it.
like small. Smalls are also in the box.
Well, and half of the smalls are all backdoored. So I mean, just like that
Yeah.
bike, you know,
Going to China.
85 bikes on each one, they're all gone somehow.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So, I know your big saying is, this is fast nickels over slow dimes.
Sure.
So, big part of like the sneaker game nowadays is, let's say like a regular shoe comes out, like big part of that is holding.
Yeah.
Maybe waiting for the right season. Nike doesn't really care what season
Sure.
it really is. But it's like, if that's your saying, like, how do you feel about people holding shoes? And
I don't disagree with people holding shoes because there's so many different ways to hustle and make the game work for you, but that's never been my strategy. Like, so fast nickels over slow dimes to me, it's a way to get back to the culture. If I buy stuff, I try and give it away at a good price. I try and leave room for other people to buy stuff and maybe make some money within reason. If I'm paying up for something and I only have a little bit of money to make, I obviously have to charge market, but if I'm getting something dirt cheap, there's been times in the store that we've given really good deals where you could buy a shoe and still make money on it, or buy a shoe at a really reasonable price, wear it, and at least get your money back, So the other end of it, like holding the shoe, I've had so many shoes. Like at one point, I had 4 pairs of MoMA or 5 pairs of
I remember
MoMA
that.
Off-White Air
16
Forces.
pairs of the UNCs at Soul Exchange. When I walked in, you had literally, you were right next to the door, so as soon as you get first impressions on everyone, you had all the Paisley jackets too.
Yeah.
Insane.
I mean, I remember I had sold 10 pairs of UNC Off-White Jordan 1s for $7K. I made 1,000. Like, I paid $6K and sold them for $7 to Scotty Skinner. Shout out Soul Supremacy. But you know what? Like, hindsight is always 20/20. If I had $1 for every pair that I sold under market, I'd probably have a decent amount of money by now. So, you know, I don't really look at it that way because the way I see it, my model is different. I can't really compare myself to other people. So the amount, the whole idea is profit over time. If you want to do this at scale and grow very quickly, you need to make your fast money. There's no sense in holding it because it could go one of 2 ways. The product could restock, like we've seen with Zebras and other shoes.
The black non-reflective.
Nothing nowadays is sacred. Jordan Brand has showed us that. Kanye is really fucking the game up right
These
now.
have restocked around 5-6 times. But no, when I watched a video yesterday from UNEB Preem, he was talking about he'll flip bricks any day, and I agree. Yeezys, yeah, they may turn into bricks. Like even these, when these came out back on Yeezy, these are the Sesames, they bricked. But now, if you go look at stock, I hate using foot apps, but if you want to use, all those market apps. But if you do, you look at the sizes 4 to 6.5. They're at 600. You can't fight, like especially if you hold them up for a little. Like that goes back to what you said.
I would recommend holding if you got it at like way under retail. Like sometimes when you buy in bulk, we were discussing this yesterday, you might be able to get some pairs like almost for free. Then I would recommend holding. But if you're laying out your hard-earned money, like let's say you're a new reseller, you only have limited capital to work with. Let's say you're working with $2,000, and you just do a good deal, and you bought all DS shoes. Like it doesn't make sense at that point to hold shoes.
Yeah.
Once you do it at a scale, and you're working with $10,000, $30,000, $50,000, big money, then you can start holding stuff. But it's a gamble. It's all speculation, you know. So the way I see it is if I could get something cheap, sell it and make my quick money and keep doing it, that is a model that works for me. Not to say that holding stuff doesn't work. So what are your thoughts on it, Ben?
Yeah, I mean that's like it's just such a big part of the game now. Like I mean we've seen it with like even like so like the UNC was like a big one. Like I mean I remember like looking on StockX, like contemplating buying it for $500. I'm like maybe they'll go down a little more. And then overnight, bam, it's like $1,000. Like really overnight, and it's just like, and it's just like, I don't know. It's just such a hard gamble. But I do agree with you because it's just like, you make your money and like maybe in the time that you've the time that you've like actually like invested that money that you made off that shoe, you could actually make more money. So it's really just like putting it into scale. You never know really.
So going back to what you were saying before about new resellers, you're getting some advice. I actually have a question about that. Any tips you want to give to new resellers that are trying to get into this game?
So, I mean, I would just personally like really stick to what you know. So for me, it's Jordans 1 through 14, retro colorways, buy in bulk. Make sure all the money that you get from the profit, you're reinvesting it. Don't spend it foolishly. Keep a profit loss spreadsheet. Another thing I didn't talk about yesterday was customer service. This is important at all levels of business. Yeah. Like your reputation is very important. A lot of people, especially if they're young, they don't really think about like reputation, longevity. If this is something you see yourself doing long term, you need to make sure you take care of your customer base and do the right thing. Like not always everyone is going to be happy. Inherently, when you're doing business, you need to get it at a price that you can make a profit. And some people get mad when you make money, but that's the cost of doing business. Like for me, when you're paying $6,000 a month to run a store, you need to get something at a price where you can make money. So with that said, people get upset about it. But you also have to understand when you're paying $6,000 a month to run a store, like when I was doing this out of my house, I wasn't able to charge $100 for a Supreme shirt. Now, when you pay this overhead and all this extra money, you could get maybe a little bit over stock and a little bit over gold or whatever it is, you know? The item's ultimately worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. So, tips for resellers, stay consistent, be smart about your purchases, get stuff as cheap as you can, buy bulk, you know, treat your customers the right way, and that's pretty much it.
So, the store's name is Soul Broker.
Sure.
Where did that come from? You know, that there's so many different
Used to
names
be
out
RX.
there.
Yeah, script kicks. So,
Script kicks.
all right, so I'll get into that. So, what had happened was I have a medical background, so initially I was script kicks. So it was like a double entendre. Like I'm in the medical field, so that's a part of it, and then also the idea of writing a script and getting a fix, like. But not like drugs, like not the drug connotation, more so like sneakers, because that's like how the culture is and the hype and like the drop and all that.
Like, say when you need something.
Exactly. So that was my first name, and then like I got a lot of flack because like people were like, oh, like you're promoting drug use, and I was like, no, that's not what I'm doing.
I remember people would argue with you on Facebook with that.
It was very frustrating,
So funny.
and I got to the point where I didn't want to explain myself anymore. So I kind of scrapped that idea, and once you scrap your name, you gotta like really quickly find a new name and like get a logo. Like, so what I had was the person that did my first art, which was James Merlis. Shout out James. He did my first canvas. I hit him up. I was on the phone with him. And we were on the phone for like an hour, and we're talking about names, and I'm like, all right, the Soul, but like I don't want to like jock off anyone else or like do some corny shit and like use somebody else's name. So I'm like, all right, so the Soul, and then we're like talking back and forth, and I'm like, well, how do you like do a deal? Like, oh, you shake somebody's hands. And then one image that always resonated with me was like the shoes that hang from like the telephone wire, like I always like thought of that, so I was like, all right.
You always see them in the city and everything.
Exactly. So I was like, all right, like let's have somebody shaking hands. And I was like, oh, when you shake a hand, you broker a deal. I was like, oh, the Soul Broker. This literally happened over an hour conversation. And then literally off of the idea, we mocked the design. It took like maybe a month, and then after that, we had everything ready. So here we are today, the Soul Broker. And it's pretty fitting. Like we've brokered deals here before, like Air Max, Spike Lee ones. So
I remember that.
it's a pretty fitting name.
I remember that side 9 band. That was crazy.
3,000 we got for those,
Jesus. Like,
and we got them for 1.2. Like that's the other
that's
thing.
exactly what I got for these. I paid 1.2 for these, and now they're up to
$1,800 profit.
Yeah.
And honestly, we didn't even have to lay out the money for the Air Mags because we brokered the deal.
Yeah.
We actually sourced the buyer, and we had the seller come in. We had the buyer lay out because it was like 7,200 and change. He laid out the 6,000 for the mags, and we got the Spike Lees for 12. The next day, we had sold them for 3,000.
Things that's what you guys gotta know. Things in this store will not be here for long. So if you see something, you come. Like, I think the first thing I bought was the first week that this store was open. You guys had Black Cement 3, V and DS, maybe one or two times. OGO, I came in, Andrew's like, I think they're 120. I went right across the street. I never carry cash on me, so I went right over to the Walgreens, and I just cashed out instantaneously.
Those were clean.
You and me. Alright, bet. So, I think you said this yesterday, but so something before we get into that. So, if you could only wear one pair of shoes for the rest of your life, what would you pick and why?
Well, Ben kind of asked that question.
Well, he said, what was your favorite shoe?
What was my favorite shoe?
If you could only wear one model, brand, colorway for the rest of your life.
Tokyo 5s are hard.
Exactly. You can't wear those every day, especially Jordan brands. They're not comfortable. Neither.
Damn. Honestly, it's gonna sound corny, but I don't care. I would probably say like New Balances or like some sort of like it's a dad shoe, but I love I have a wide foot, so like a Jordan 4, it's not narrow in the front, so like Jordan 1s for me, they're not comfortable.
I love ones.
I need to go up like a whole size. Like I'm normally an 11, I need to wear like a 12. Otherwise, it's just not comfortable. Like take the insoles out, like give myself whatever room. So it would definitely be like a New Balance, a model of a New Balance. I would say
The 997?
I mean, there's so many good New Balances. I would just say I can't really
Just
pick
New Balance
a model.
in general and just find a color.
A New Balance shoe is, I mean, especially a Ronnie Feed collab,
Oh yeah.
fire. Definitely New Balance.
Yeah.
What would you get?
Cool.
I'm simple. I'll take an Air Jordan 1 any day of the week. I
Really?
love ones.
I don't know. But you're right. Though. You gotta go like if you're like really going like strategy. Yeah, no. I honestly probably be easy. But
They are comfortable, though.
You know, that's the thing. They really are
So sick of
insanely
them
comfortable.
now.
I don't know. Like they're just like really just comfortable. I don't know. I've never had a problem with the Yeezy. And like they're so easy to clean. Like they're like you throw them in the wash machine.
Sure,
Like, it's
definitely.
Like
You're not cleaning a suede shoe either.
Exactly.
They're gonna be cooked.
Yeah, now you're not cleaning the suede shoe. You got
I mean, if a New
fours.
Balance suede shoe, like that shit's cooked if you throw it in. So you're definitely right. I remember I had a pair of 350s and I threw them right in the wash, a little bit of OxyClean. I think they were creams. They came out perfect.
Oh,
Yeah,
creams
they're
are
done.
amazing.
Yeah, creams are reusable shoes.
My friend wore them to Gov Ball, came back, shoe was black, cleaned it the next day.
Easy shoe.
So where do you see yourself in the store in 5 years?
In
Do you
5
see,
years.
Yeah, do you see like another store opening up, or do you see you locating to this location or changing locations?
So, I'm going to digress a little bit because that is a good question. So, we've scaled so much since we started here at May.
Yeah, you guys started with just this shelf and that one, then you
Yeah.
expanded to those two, or that one,
And
then expanded again, and now you're all over
So,
here.
I know everyone can't see the store. So, what I'll do is you guys could always like check out our Instagram. We posted plenty of photos, but just to give you an idea, we're sitting in an 800 square foot space. Right when I had started in May, I was subletting space. So the rent here was $3,100. I was paying a quarter of the rent, and I literally had what you see in the frame here. So that is nothing. We had 60 pairs here. We just basically went as we paid as we went, and partially due to the fact that I was very afraid of over leveraging myself. I didn't want to sign a lease in my name if I wasn't ready to take on that commitment. So I want to say we started with 60 pairs of shoes, less than 200 pieces of clothing, and right now we probably have over 1,200 items in our inventory, 450 pairs of shoes, probably at least 300 shirts, 50, 60 pairs of pants, jerseys, box
50,
logos,
60 pairs of 60 pops.
Funko Pops, hats. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in here, and we want to really diversify ourselves and set ourselves different than other stores. You know, we want to carry things that stores normally don't carry. So in 5 years, so I'm really focused on finishing the build out here. There's so much stuff that needs to be done here in terms of utilizing the wall space. So I definitely need to focus on finishing the build out here. When the build out is complete, I will then know exactly what's needed in order to open up another location. And that is definitely my plan, to open up another location, perhaps in the mall. I kind of understand now why people open up in the mall, even though the expenses are so high. It's almost like a cheat code to a video game.
Yeah, because you have
Like-
all that traffic, foot traffic, especially with the big open
Exactly.
door.
So-
Everyone's gonna keep coming in.
So I definitely want to continue scaling. Once I get the operations and because if you perfect one store, you could use that model and build out other stores. So I definitely want to work on getting the operations here up to par, building out the store completely. Then I could take that model and put it towards another store. So 5 years from now, I want to be like the preeminent sneaker store in New York City. Like I want to build locations where people don't have locations. I'm not gonna say where I want to be because
and then other
a
people,
lot of people come from like outside in, and then they think like, oh, I'm just gonna go to Manhattan. Like, we have 5 boroughs here, and if you're a native New Yorker, you know what the hot spots are.
Yeah.
So I've been dropping a lot of gems, but not gonna really divulge my secret recipe. But my plan is to scale and have multiple locations.
So I'm gonna skip a few of these questions to really just give you this last one. So Andrew, yeah, I've known you for about 10 years now, from just originally back in Facebook groups.
Sure.
What is the best deal that got away? Like a deal that you regret, the biggest deal that turned out to be such a profitable and like, you know what I mean? I can't really.
There's been a lot of deals. I mean,
number one.
So I'm trying to think of it. There's been a lot. There's been a lot because you have to understand on the Facebook groups. There's a lot of people. Like at one point, it was me, Joseph Sapia, Chuck Atara. Those are like the big people. Tommy Clementi was doing buy sell trade, but not like crazy. But I want to say it was me, Joe Sapia, Chuck Atara, Scanny, Joe Carucci. Like those people were like the big resellers. There's been buyouts I've went to where I showed up and then 2 minutes later Joe Sapia pulls up. So you know,
Sapia pulls up. I want this. I love Sapia.
I mean, shout out Joe Sapia.
Yeah,
shout out Soul Purpose.
Too, right?
Yeah. I forget. Do you remember?
I forgot the name of the store.
Oh my god. Actually.
Origins is Chuck's.
Yeah. I think you could probably just search it.
Yeah.
But the one deal that I missed. I'm really trying. I feel like all the good deals that I could have potentially had, I got.
All Things Hype.
Shout out All Things Hype.
That's it. Yeah. Okay.
All Things Hype NY.
I really can't think of anything, but you know what? Let me digress a little bit. All the deals that I missed out on was for one reason and one reason only. It's because I tried to get it at the price that I wanted it at. And then what happened was somebody else came through and offered 50 or 100 more. So the moral of the story here is don't nickel and dime. So if you have a deal where like somebody just came in and just sold us all that stuff.
Yeah.
We were at, I think it was $900.
Yes.
But if he told me he was gonna walk away, if he didn't get 1,000, I would just pay the extra 100. Because at the end of the day, I knew what I had in terms of value and I knew what I could make off of it. So, I just want to say this. If you're doing reselling and you don't have a store, just consider this. You have no overhead, aside from maybe your gas and your tolls. So you could operate on a smaller margin. So the whole moral of the story is don't be greedy. If you know there's guaranteed money and you might have to pay up a little bit more, you might have to do that. So you're not always going to, throw on the ski mask and rob somebody, You might have to pay up and make your 20%, but if you keep doing that at scale, at the end of the year, you're gonna have a lot of money.
Yeah. So I mean,
I got like one more question. So I don't like the big, like a lot of the older styles coming back.
Yeah.
Like I see them like, let's say even like Wave Runners is a big thing. Like the dad shoes coming back, like the Monarchs, like Nike's like revamping the Monarch.
Mm-hmm.
Balenciaga Triple S, which is like the king dad shoe.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you feel about that? Because it's so interesting. Like even like all this like old style stuff. Even like records are coming back.
Yeah.
To really
Travis.
nice up.
I think to answer your question, I just think it's a historical thing. Like, it's very cliche and trite, but like history repeats itself. So that's just a part of culture. Like you've seen it so many times. Like look at like I'm a 90s baby. We're all millennials. So that like things like vintage clothing has came back. So it's just how culture is. Like pop culture, everything influences things. So like for example, like let's talk about pop culture. Like Travis Scott. He was wearing, he took a picture of Paris SBs, and then everyone's like, oh my god, Paris SBs. Half the people didn't even know what a fucking Paris SB was.
They've probably seen it, or looking it up, like, what is that color?
Oh my god,
I can't describe
it. But
they're restocking, oh my gosh.
Like, that kind of prompted more people looking into SBs. I remember prior to the lobsters releasing, like SB Market was dead.
Yeah.
Like if I went on a buyout, and we spoke about this with the EB Cream video, but if I went on a buyout and there was like new era shit like New Balance, New Balance, SBs, like I would just pass on it because nobody wants that. So
They're coming back though.
See, yeah.
Really
I have no issue with it, but the like I said, I have an issue with the market. It's I sound like a hypocrite because I'm a reseller and I have a store, but that's just my opinion. Like there's certain things that I just don't see the value in. Like, do I think Freddy Krueger should be 15 grand? Like,
Well,
no.
I have to disagree. I think so too, because you know their story, right? That the factory burned down with them in it.
Well,
Because that's a sick thing for people to know.
I don't know if that's a gimmick or if
I
that's
heard
like,
that. I heard it was true that they were supposed to be. That's why they didn't
So
actually
many
come out.
stories.
Yeah, I heard that.
I feel like it might be like just to add hype.
Because
to
that's
the
why
show.
they have burn marks on the shoe. Some of them. That's why they're all different. All the shoes.
Or maybe like, I don't know if I'm reading too into this, but like maybe Freddy Krueger, like the way he looks, like I don't know, but like there's certain shoes that I just don't see the value in, like, but a part of that is due to the fact it's market manipulation. It has to do with like overseas paying the high, and we have just a crazy allocation. So it's really hard to say.
Now to top it off, because I know we have like probably 2 minutes left for the
Sure.
30-minute mark for now. Do you think a bot's necessary in today's market? In today's game?
I mean,
I'm a hypocrite. I got a bot. but-
you cook like I've bought bots, and I feel like me personally, the fact that I bought the bots, bought the proxy, set up the server,
And it didn't work.
Like I got so discouraged. I was like, like I'm not doing this anymore. Like I was like a child about it. But I mean, if you're tech savvy and you know how to diagnose stuff, for me, the cost of buying a bot, buying proxies, buying a server, and then hitting on one pair, it's like, why did I do this? Like I should have just paid resale at that.
I just been.
Like,
At least I'm buying cyber right now.
you know best because you've bought bots, you've definitely cooked before. Like, what would you say? Like, the amount of money that you laid out, have you made all that back? Like,
Yes.
are you keeping track of
Yeah,
that?
I keep track of it because I remember my initial investment was $350. I had TCAS, the kick
Okay.
station. It was a $350 investment, and then each month, I use Google Cloud servers here and there, and then I switched it up, but I'm
Okay.
back to Google Cloud because it is free. They give you $300 free credits, but when it runs out, if you keep going, they're going to charge you. So I get out of that and I reset it over and over again. But like proxies are going to cost you at least $50 a month, or maybe if you have group buy, maybe 35 because they'll get.
What would you say your success rate is? Out of all the, like, if you look like retrospectively and say, all right, I've set up for 10 releases. Out of those 10 releases, how many releases did you actually hit?
2 to 3.
Okay.
Because nowadays, botting's not what it used to be. Like you used to be able to bot and automatically hit a pair. Now, you can get lucky that everyone has a bot now. They restock them every day, like an hour ago. It's 6:40 right now. It's 6 o'clock. Cyber restock. That's a $4,500 bot that they just retailed and restocked for $350. Like, come on, like you get that. Cyber is one of the best on the market right now. Like, it's insane.
I feel like almost as
And
if
they're all
like
hit or misses too.
you have to put your time in and try different products and then find out what works best for you type deal.